Chapter 17, China Who? One Crazy Summer by Rita Williams Garcia. China Who? Sister Mukambu gave Eunice, Hirohito, and me 2 empty milk cartons, each to fill with water from the hallway fountain. Today, our class was to take sponges that she and Sister Pat had cut up into different shapes and make print designs on old t-shirts. We'd use red, black, and green paint, the same colors as the ink Cecile used for her poems and whatever flyers the Panthers asked her to print up. As Sister Mukambu readied the paints, I thought of all those colors, dripping and splattering on Vanetta and Fern's clothes, and having to scrub them without a washboard. "Don't start anything until I get back with the water," I told Fern. Fern seemed off in her own world. Sister Mukambu clapped her hands, pressing me to get going. Fern would be all right for 2 minutes without me. I followed Eunice and Hirohito with a mind to hurry back. I had to admit I liked being seen as one of the classroom helpers. Vanetta and Janice were put out by the fact that they weren't asked to take a skip down the hall with Hirohito. They had both raised their hands to ask if they could help too. Although I didn't like Eunice much, we glanced at each other and knew the same thing. Our middle sisters were boy crazy for Hirohito. He was probably 12 or 13 and only saw Vanetta and Janice as pests he could both mess with and keep at a distance. Hirohito beat us to the fountain. As he filled up his cartons, I studied every feature of his face. I wanted to ask him how it felt to have slanted eyes, hair like pine needles, and coppery-colored skin. Which one was he more, Chinese or colored? If I were Vanetta, I would have at least asked him that, as much as she'd always looked at his face. I would have asked him something interesting instead of, "Do you like short girls or tall girls?" I knew my curiosity didn't excuse my staring or wanting to pry. After all, I certainly didn't like questions about not having a mother, so I scolded myself good while Hirohito filled up his second carton. I should keep my curiosity to myself. I should not stare at his long black eyelashes and coppery-colored skin. Besides, I couldn't go from planning to sock him to asking him about being a colored Chinese boy in one good blink. But before I had the chance to look away, he caught me staring at him. "What?" I gave it back. "Did I say something to you?" Thank goodness you can't see cherries in a chocolate bar. I have been a red-faced rose, if not for my Hershey brown complexion. "Take a picture, it lasts longer." "I was not looking at you, boy." Girl pride made me lie hard and strong. Eunice gave me were to glare. But I couldn't let this boy think I was staring at him, even if he caught me red-faced beneath my brown skin. I couldn't let this boy with slanted eyes and copper-colored skin think I thought a thing about him because I didn't. And if you try to run me and my sisters off the sidewalk with that skateboard, I'm going to stomp on you good. We were about the same height, but I hadn't met a boy I couldn't throw down to the ground. But then I was taller than all the boys I knew. "I yelled for you to get out of the way. Can I help it if you're slow?" He was no Ellis Carter, Anthony, Antony, or the other boys who tapped me from behind and ran. He spoke calmly, with no fear of my boy-throwing abilities. "Well, you shouldn't be skateboarding where people walk." "Girl, that's no skateboard," he said, full of what I guessed was boy pride. "That's my go-kart." "Who cares, China boy?" He gave me a look like he was going to drop both cartons and put up his dukes. One eyebrow went up. "China who?" I was glad he said that because my China U shot out right on time. Eunice jumped in and said, "For your information, he's black and Japanese. Can't you tell the difference between a Japanese name and a Chinese name?" I didn't like having my ignorance shoved at me, especially by the likes of Eunice Ankton. But there I was, not knowing a half Chinese face from a half Japanese one. I wasn't about to get a better look so I'd know the difference. Looking at that stupid boy got me red-faced in the first place. The last thing I'd do was own up to my ignorance and then apologize. I turned to Eunice as if Hirohito weren't there. I don't care what he is, he just better watch out when he's riding that skateboard on the sidewalk. Hirohito turned and started walking back to the classroom. Go-kart. I said, forget you, Hirohito. He said, forget you, Delphine. Then I said quickly to get the last lick, never thought about you. Eunice said, is that what you all say where you come from? That's so corny. For Eunice's information, there was a lot more to that rhyme. Swallow a snake, jump in the lake, come back home with a belly ache. It didn't sound corny, so I kept it to myself. It did sound corny, so I kept it to myself. I don't care. She walked ahead of me. If you knew about Hirohito and Brother Woods, you'd leave him alone. Then I got suckered into a schoolyard comeback I should have seen coming. What about Hirohito and Brother Woods? Wouldn't you know it? Eunice had hips. She made sure I knew the fact as she walked ahead of me. That's for me to know and you to find out.